What's up? Welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. So one video series I've been doing on and off is songs Iron Maiden will never play again.
Why?
It's always fun to speculate what songs are coming up next, but I do think it's always kind of interesting to look into what songs might be gone for good. So I've done part 1, I've done part 2, and this being part 3, it's the last one I'm doing. We might change the series in some form or another, but this is the last time I'm doing a songs Iron Maiden's never gonna play ever again. I could probably get a couple more videos out of this idea, but frankly, I don't really want to, and we're just gonna end up saying songs like Invaders and Angel and Gambler, which I don't really need to tell anybody that. So today, for the last time, here's 6 songs Iron Maiden will never play again. If there's a song you're expecting to hear in this list that's not, go watch part 1 or 2, it might be in there. But for now, let's get right into it. Starting off with one of the singles from Iron Maiden's 1981 Killers album, and that's Purgatory. Purgatory is a really fun song. Again, it was one of the singles off the Killers album, and it unfortunately has been played since 1981. You can find some really cool footage of Bruce playing it at his first show with Iron Maiden ever, and it actually has kind of a special place with Iron Maiden. See, despite Iron Maiden hasn't played it since 1981, they've actually used it a lot in tour merch and artwork in general. I do think there's a lot of fans who'd really love to hear this come back, and I do think it would have worked well in the 2005 Eddie Rips Up the World tour, but that's not how things went. So due to it didn't come back on the retrospective tour for the Iron Maiden Killers album, and it just hasn't been played since, well, it was new, I think it's gone for good. Next up, and going a bit more modern, but The Final Frontier. The Final Frontier was the opening track to the 2010 Final Frontier album. Along with being the intro track to the Final Frontier album, it was also the opening track to the 2011 leg of the Final Frontier tour. This song's a lot of fun, it has a cool rock vibe to it, which not that many Iron Maiden songs do, but I don't see it ever coming back, the whole point of the video. So you probably could wiggle it into a set list, and you could probably cut the Satellite 15 part off it, but frankly, I just don't think it needs to come back. I think if Iron Maiden started a new tour and song 2 is the Final Frontier instead of like 2 Minutes at Midnight, fans would be upset. As much as I love the Final Frontier album, it doesn't get that much love from everyone, and I don't think this song gets much love from everyone. I'd like to hear it played one more time, but frankly, I don't think that's gonna happen. Next up, and I'm kind of mentioning a few songs in this one, but instrumentals. Now when I say instrumentals, I do mean Transylvania, Genghis Khan, and Lost for Words. In the late 1970s for the early 1980s, there were instrumentals in almost every single tour leading up to the Power Slave tour, and then one more time in the Real Live One tour they pulled out Transylvania. But frankly, Bruce being a performer, I think he's going to want as much time on stage as humanly possible, and I don't think he's going to want to dedicate any time to any songs where he's not going to be on stage for them. Now, I do know that Bruce actually had a lot of say in the Real Live One tour set list, and what he wanted to do is play a lot of songs that he felt after he quit Iron Maiden, they weren't going to be played live ever again, Transylvania being one of them. But I have also heard that Bruce really phoned it in on that tour, so it's not too shocking that one of those songs would want to make its way back into the set list. But I don't think that's where the band is anymore. I do know that Bruce is actually playing the Edgar Winter Band's Frankenstein on his solo tour right now, but he gets to go play with the Theremin on that tour, so I think it's a little bit different. Nonetheless, just from where the band is right now, where Bruce is right now, I think Transylvania, Genghis Khan, and Lost for Words as instrumentals as a whole is gone for good. I know that kind of counts as 3 songs, but we're just looking at it as instrumentals. Next up, Brighter Than a Thousand Suns. I think it's clear that Iron Maiden does like this song, but I think it's kind of run its course. Brighter Than a Thousand Suns was one of the early long tracks on the 2006 Matter of Life and Death album. It was played for the entirety of the Matter of Life and Death tour, and it was pulled out one more time for the Final Frontier tour, and then dropped for good. You can find some footage of Iron Maiden playing it in 2010 on the opening show to the Final Frontier tour, but they actually ended up dropping it because they said it felt like it was one long song too many and ended up getting swapped for Wrathchild. I think it could have had one more release on life when they did the Legacy of the Beast tour and they had the war theme going on stage, but I think that spot was taken by the Klansman, and frankly, that might be the last time that they got the chance to actually do this song. I've also said that I've always thought that Brighter Than a Thousand Suns would kind of unfortunately work really well for a Senjutsu tour with its Asian themes, but since there was no proper Senjutsu tour, That was just never going to happen. So due to, I don't think there's really much time to play this song anymore, and the one tour that could have worked in, it wasn't played, and the one time it's pulled out in 2010 was literally one time before it was dropped, I think Brighter 1,000 Suns is gone for good. Next up, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. Now, I don't feel like I need to say this, but Seventh Son of the Seventh Son came out on the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son album, which for those who don't know, was the seventh Iron Maiden album. This is played all through the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son tour, and it was pulled back out in the Made in England tour. It was really special to hear live, and it went down so well. But I think it's kind of gone for good because they just don't really need to play it again. Now, since they've done the Made in England tour, that means Seventh Son of the Seventh Son has had its retrospective tour, and that was the appropriate time for the Maiden to play it. But being a song that's nearly 10 minutes long, it's really difficult to squeeze a song like that into a set where it doesn't really need to be played. I think for songs like Rhyme Agent Mariner, they'll go make an exception for, but I don't think that Seventh Son of Seventh Son has that relevance. As a side note, I always thought this would have been really cool to hear like the X Factor tour or the Virtual 11 tour, but also not what happened. So due to Seventh Son of Seventh Son had its retrospective tour, it got played, and I think it's just too long to randomly pull out. I think Seventh Son of the Seventh Son is gone for good, and we are not going to hear it again. And the last one on the list, and the last one I'm mentioning in this video series, Journeyman. So Journeyman came out as the closing track to the Dance of Death album in 2003. And when Maiden played it live, they were actually using it to open the encore, which everyone came out with acoustic guitars and sat down, apart from Steve, but sat down to play Journeyman live. And Journeyman was kind of the perfect song for where Iron Maiden was in kind of like the writing process in 2002. When they wrote Journeyman, they just finished the Brave New World tour, and even with how successful that album was, and how successful that tour was, there are still people saying, yeah, Brave New World is great, but we think it's kind of a fluke and a one-off thing. So Journeyman was kind of a frustration of comments like that, of just trying to label the band dead, despite we're here, we're doing great. I know what I want, I'll say what I want, and no one can take that away. I think it's a truly beautiful song, and I would love to see it come back, but at this point, it's pretty established that Maiden's here, Maiden's doing great, and Maiden has a really strong following. Right? They're probably doing better now than they have in their entire career. And honestly, it's for those reasons I think this song's gone for good. I don't think they need to play it anymore because the frustration that was there when they were playing the song, when they wrote the song, isn't there anymore. You look at Maiden now, they can go do these retrospective tours and they go have fun with it. And you can see they're all really happy on stage together. So as relevant as that song was in 2003 or 2004 for them, and it's kind of the right song as it was then, I don't think it needs to come back. Which for every song on this list, that one's kind of the most upsetting one to me. Because again, I would love to hear it live, I'd love to scream it out, I'd love to treat it like Blind Guardian's The Bard song and have the entire crowd scream every single word, but I don't think that's the case. So that is the end of songs Iron Maiden will never play ever again. But I want to know, what do you think? Do you agree with me for these songs? Did you like this series? And would you like to see a video of songs that I believe Maiden needs to pull out before they retire? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed what you've seen. I post on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.